Oh, are we on? What's up to all the sidekicks and hedgefolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the time-spanning CultPop podcast, episode 49, legacy number 850. I'm going to try and get us to do legacy numbering forever now. Forget those early numbers. Yeah, we're going to go to legacy numbering.
I think we should have another new numbering that starts in 3 weeks.
Well, what we'll do is
we'll list all three of them.
We'll continually relaunch,
Yeah.
and then at anniversary numbers, the legacy numbers are the one that matters. Anyway,
we list all of the different sets of numbers.
Yeah.
Legacy
it's
number
gonna be,
3.
It's going to be like a handful. A show where we talk about movies, comics, TV, branch timelines, bodies across the plane of existence, and all the other things that scratch your nerdy itch. We're coming to you live from Young Junk, a bomb-ass podcasting production space in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am your temporary host, Noel, frequent patron, and patiently a patron of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a super rad comic shop that caters to all nerd-adjacent individuals of shape, sizes, and genders, filling in for the Johnny Destructo, who had a loss in the family, so he's taking the day off. So our hearts are with him. He's in the chat. Hiya, friend.
What's up, dude?
But
dude.
those that are joining me this evening are Len the Bat Dribble.
Yo, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Triple.
I gotta summon the confidence enough to be able to do something like that. Like, just kiss at a camera.
You just did it.
I know, but I did it ironically.
Oh.
And
Brian Lieb is of the planet. What do you mean?
Which planet?
What do you mean?
Oh, this one that we're on right now, Earth.
Let's just keep yes-anding. What about Earth is so great?
What about Earth is so great? That's
In
interesting.
5 words or less.
One of them better begin with a T.
Oh.
Titties?
No.
Totally.
Oh, your fiance's name.
It does. I was thinking the more like what makes Earth great for it.
I'm thinking macro, not micro.
Conditions for life are here.
That's a real clinical way of addressing a large answer. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I only had 5 words. I'm not sure that.
Considering that I teed you up for a real sweet romantic moment.
You did.
Nice going.
Love of a
She's not
of a
watching the
wonder.
show, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, she doesn't watch.
I mean, okay, she does sometimes, but I gotta say what I think the end tomorrow is great, obviously. But you know what I'm saying?
No.
Listen,
Put away your window cleaner.
it's not an
dog.
answer to the question.
It's
It's not
done.
an answer to the question.
No, it's
It could have
fine.
been.
I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to cut in and mention that in the booth with us tonight is our trusty producer, Dylan the Great, who doesn't have a microphone. So randomly, we're going to just have conversations with him, and you will never know if he's responding. You'll just never know.
He made
Anyway.
Now he's crawling over.
Oh, God. Hi.
Yeah, he's
with
here
your
now.
feet.
He's. You normally wouldn't know that.
So the chat is already kind of popping alive with people that we love. So please feel free to comment, like, subscribe tonight, tomorrow, whenever you see this post, and we will respond in kind. Also, if you don't want to jump into the little back and forth and just want to send us a message, you can email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. That's one word, cultpopgo@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, recipes.
Nobody sent us their most sinister
reviews.
Bible verse from last week.
Yeah, sinister Bible verses.
Yeah.
We're big on those.
I'm not even thinking about the Bible verses.
Who's
I'm
last
mad
week?
because I'm looking at the chat here and I'm seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
And everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna get.
Well, no. Calm down. I'm helping you.
Calm down.
I'm
Len's
helping
getting
you host
angry.
the show. I'm helping you host the show. I'm seeing that everybody is showing love and they're showing support for JD because he has suffered this loss in his family, and the lovely Sam, or your lovely Sam, has made her famous chicken pot pie that she has shared with JD.
Oh.
So, Sam is one of those people that if you pay her a compliment, she will immediately, instinctively tell you what is not impressive about what she did. Like when you're just like, hey, that's a really nice sweater. It's on sale. You can't just. So, Sam, the pot pie is delicious. I didn't make the crust this time. I actually used out of the box. Like she'll go out of her way to which is
Well,
hilarious.
while I understand that
How
she
is it?
gave it to
You're amazing.
JD because of what he's going through,
Yeah, food.
what I don't understand is why we have not sampled any of her chicken pot pie
what
here.
I don't
on
understand
CultPop.
is why she didn't make 2 for us also. 'Cause
Yes,
I
and why
did
didn't you do
suggest that.
twice the work so that
Hey
we could
man,
benefit?
it's one
What
big
was that
batch,
about?
and then you split.
I mean, it's in a bet, but it doesn't have to be baked in the pie.
Yeah, but like you could make a lot at once if you wanted
And
to.
then you put it in the pie.
She'll give you a story about how it's not enough chicken for 2, and I'm like rationing.
Can't you
it,
just get
but
more
whatever.
chicken? There's more chicken, right?
There's more chicken in this world.
Okay, yeah.
There's
That's
more
one
chicken.
of the things that's great about the Earth. One of them.
You haven't sampled her pot pie. That's a euphemism, my dude. And Sam jumped in the chat. Listen, the Phillies lost. It kept her awake until 3 a.m. last night.
Sounds like
It
a
was
time
really-
she could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I
Cooking
could
pot
talk
pie,
about
but-
it and I would have been up to this
Yeah.
week, but it's been baseball and it's been heartbreaking. But
Yeah.
whatever. And but speaking of what we've been up to this week,
Huh?
Len,
Yes.
you told me about something you've been up to or that you've been experiencing, and I thought that it was one of the greatest mashups I've ever heard of, except it's not.
It's not.
No.
It's something everybody has been doing for years. For reasons that I can't even really explain. No, I can. I was listening recently to a rerun of the Gilbert Gottfried podcast where they were talking to a gentleman. I forget the gentleman's name, but he actually does the tours on the TV studios in California.
Cool.
Yeah.
And whichever studio it is, I can't remember, but it is the studio that has the Munsters home from the old
That's
60s
cool.
TV show.
Universal.
It is Universal. You're right. It is Universal. And he was talking about like, taking people on the tours and giving like tidbits about the Munsters house.
Tour tidbits.
And it made me remember, like, how much I liked the Munsters when I was a kid. And then they started talking about the Addams Family, which because both shows ran for only 2 seasons back in,
Is that
in
right?
the 60s. Yeah.
Eh,
A lot
how
of
about
people
that?
think it, but this was back
Wait,
when
There's a lot more
Seasons
episodes
like
for sure.
40
yeah, they were
episodes
40
long.
episodes
Yeah.
long. So
Yeah.
that's why 2 seasons,
There's 6 seasons worth of like
Yeah.
current shows or like
Exactly.
modern shows. Yeah.
So it made me wonder, like, it's been a minute and a half since I've watched either show.
Mhm.
So I said, one of the things that I do since I work from home is that I look for stuff that I can just passively have on the television while I'm working.
Like Shark Tank.
Right. Right.
Passively, though, Len.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to watch the Munsters and the Addams Family. And I'm going to see how they hold up. Now, mind you, I know they weren't going to hold up so much because this is like they're 50-year-old shows now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I watched them. So I turned on the Munsters and I said, I'm going to sit and watch a whole day's worth of Munsters. Each show is half an hour. And for those who don't know, the Munsters is basically a play on the Universal monsters because it was done at Universal Studios, but they have them all as a family.
Yeah.
It's basically
Herman.
it's Herman. Is Frankenstein. Grandpa, who is the Count, Dracula. Lily,
Dude, no,
Lily, that's her
different
name.
who basically is like the bride of Frankenstein, but not really quite. And then they've got a son, Eddie, who's kind of like
Wolf.
looks
He's a wolf boy.
werewolfish.
Does he not turn into a full werewolf at any
I think
of
at
this
some point he
I think
does.
at one point he actually does, but not on a regular.
Okay.
It's not like something he does.
It's not
Do
like
they have a
mother,
daughter?
but he's kind of more wolfed out.
They don't have a daughter.
Niece,
They
right?
have a niece.
Yeah.
Oh, she's normal. She's
Marilyn.
normie.
Yeah.
Who's normal but can't get a date
Sure.
because in their mind she's ugly, but in
Like that
everybody
Twilight
else's
Zone
mind,
episode.
exactly. So that's that premise. Whereas the Addams Family is based off of the famous comic strips from
Charles Adams, I
from
believe.
Charles Adams
Yeah.
from the New Yorker back in the 30s and 40s, and they took those comic strips and they actually, in creating the show, named it after the creator, at Charles Adams. But then they gave names to the characters. The characters didn't have names in the comic strip, so they actually have to give them
I think,
names.
what's his name? John Aston?
Mhm.
But he himself chose Gomez.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple of others in the running, and I think Gomez was definitely the best
Gomez
one.
was the win.
Gomez,
Yeah.
Morticia, Wednesday,
Pugsley,
Pugsley,
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Fester,
Uncle
Fester.
Fester.
and Grandmama.
Grandmama.
and It.
There
And
was-
Cousin It.
I forgot there was a grandmama.
Grandmama. Yes.
Interesting.
And
And Thing.
She was integral to the
and
plot. It.
Lurch.
Oh,
It's not Thing.
No, Cousin It.
No,
Cousin It.
Cousin It. But Thing.
No, Thing, the hand.
Thing is the hand.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
a dummy.
Thing is the hand.
The producer's doing this over the monitor, like, Noel, you
Yeah.
fucking idiot. Yeah,
Thing
go
is
on.
the hand. And then there's Lurch, who is the butler.
Yeah.
Right.
My friend of mine in high school played Lurch in the original Broadway production of Addams
That's
Family.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
When was that?
We were in musical theater together. He's successful.
Hmm.
I'm not.
Not at that.
Let me not.
Does
when
he have
When
a
was the last time
podcast?
you even did a
Does he have
musical
a po-
performance?
Probably. He's probably got like 8 podcasts
Okay.
and a Grammy and an Emmy. What
Slacker.
wait, what was your question? When did it premiere? Mid 2000s. I think it was
I
like
asked you when.
2012, 2013.
Okay.
It was with Baby Newworth and Nathan Lane
Oh,
as
yeah?
Gomez and Morticia.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I saw
Very,
him in
very
A Funny
cool.
Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum and The Producers. Both
I mean,
amazing.
Was he
Yeah.
with Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick in The Producers and Mark Lynn Baker, Corson Larry Appleton. In,
Oh, God, that's right.
In Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
In Meatballs.
They were great.
Anyway,
I thought his
sorry.
name was Corson for a long time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I told myself I'm going to watch A Day of the Munsters.
Mm-hmm.
I made it an hour.
No.
It does not wear well. It does. Within that first hour, I'm certain I have heard every joke that is going to be on the remaining 40 odd episodes of the Munsters. So then I turned on the Addams Family. I made it through at least 2 hours of the Addams Family.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
But after a while, I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of done.
Those shows were not built to be binged. Like they
Well,
are
that's
they are
true.
very
Yeah.
recycled plots over and over again and
That's very
punchlines.
true.
So like
There's
binging
certainly
it's
no
gotta be
ongoing
repetition.
story.
No.
Yeah.
There's no overarching plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you start at the beginning?
Yes, I did.
Because I wonder how far you would have gotten if maybe you started in like a little later on.
I'm
Maybe
pretty
they
sure
tighten
I
up a little bit.
No.
No. And
No.
did you suffer through? You know what? That's an unfair question. Did you watch or sample the Rob Zombie Monsters movie?
Oh, was that on
It's on Netflix.
Netflix? I started it and then I was like, ugh.
Because I watched 20 minutes of it, and it is so faithful to the Munsters that it's awful.
it is god awful.
And it should have been in black and white because then maybe it wouldn't look so cheap.
Yes.
But
Just
yeah,
like the original show. Right?
basically, and it was funny, like everybody complaining about how it's a terrible movie, it's a terrible movie. I was like, I think he nailed what he was going
Yeah.
for.
Sometimes
he did,
people
but-
do that, and it's still not something you want to.
Oh
watch.
no,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Like
Right, right.
it
You're
doesn't
like, yeah,
that
that
doesn't
is-
make it
Yeah.
immediately good.
Yeah.
It's just or that you like it. It's just like
Like,
I see what you were going for.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Good-
did what
good on
you
you.
wanted.
Yeah.
yeah,
Unlike the
Congratulations.
Addams Family, which has proven adaptable.
yes.
Oh, yeah,
In fact,
man.
I think most of my like feeling about the Addams Family comes from the '90s movies. Those two.
Raul Julia.
Raul Julia.
Yeah,
And
Christopher
R.I.P.
Lloyd and Christina Ricci. Oh yeah, there were.
Everyone
Yeah.
else is still alive.
And
Well,
Uh,
I was just it was Raul Julia.
oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
It
I
was a
looked at
shame when he died.
His final film was Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I know of all final films.
Hey man, he ate the stage. Like he chewed up everything in the scene, let alone also the celluloid.
Yeah, from what I understand, he was really suffering when he was doing
Oh
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But still beat the shit out of Jean-Claude Van Damme
Wow.
with movie magic.
I thought that's why he got the part. They're like, whoever gets this part needs to be able to beat the shit out of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Without movie magic,
Yeah.
and he just came in and crushed it. They were like, we'll give you doubles. The chat's alive. Wait, what had BB Newworth? The Broadway musical of Addams Family. Sherry Moon Zombie was my high school crush. Thank you, Sam. Johnny Destructo, which is also JD. He always seems to like chat through like 4 different whatever.
Whatever he's looking at the time.
I made it through 15 minutes of the Rob Zombie Monsters, which is about an episode of the Munsters. So I think we're all on the same page of it, like wearing out its welcome very quickly. And the best Addams Family is still the 90s film, according to JD. The new animated movies are fine. I
Didn't
didn't
see that.
finish the first
see.
animated movie, but I loved the character designs.
The character designs were good. I
Yeah.
never really finished
Yeah.
it.
I never really
So
started it.
you would
Who's
recommend Addams Family conditionally, but not Munsters at all?
I hate to say that I would
Hmm.
not recommend the Munsters at all, but yeah, I wouldn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely of its time. I think that you could return to the Addams Family at that time to see the building blocks
Mhm.
of the characters and still appreciate it, especially John Aston and Carolyn Jones
Yeah.
as Morticia and Gomez, Jackie Coogan as Uncle Fester. So you could really appreciate it, but that will give you the building blocks to then sample everything else. The '90s movies, which were great. Wednesday, which
Wednesday is amazing.
which is an
Yeah.
amazing show on
I didn't
Netflix.
get past the second episode.
Really?
Not because I didn't like it, just because it was
Missing
like,
it,
all right, cool.
It actually is pretty good.
Was it good?
Yeah, I liked it a
Gets
lot.
better.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
yeah, I
it
think it
wasn't
does,
bad.
but yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
it ramps up. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, Brian,
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
is there anything that you have been up to in the last time period we will define as week?
Yes. Thank you for asking.
What is it?
I was one thing that I was up to was watching Scavenger's Reign.
What the hell is that?
It is a beautifully animated show on Max that I had no idea existed. I opened up Max because I was looking for something else.
And what is
Maybe.
Max? Is
It
this
used to
the
be HBO.
Used to be
Max.
HBO.
Yeah.
HBO Max, and before
Yeah.
that, I think it was HBO Go.
No,
was it
technically it was
HBO
only
Now?
HBO Max.
Yeah. Their app
No,
before that
But
was.
it was HBO Now, and then Go.
No, they
then-
they were, but those were separate apps.
So HBO Max.
Well, one of them became HBO Max and the other one did not, I think.
Yeah,
I think HBO Now became HBO Max.
But HBO Now was HBO Go before it was HBO Now.
HBO Go ran concurrently.
This is
though.
there's a timeline. There's an etymology to the streaming service that was HBO.
I think it's like the.
Okay, sorry, I'm being an asshole. Carry on.
Are you doing your JD? Is that that's what's happening?
I'm doing my best. I'm sitting in this seat. I'm doing my best to
Yeah.
derail and yes and as much as humanly possible. Jump in the chat, JD. I'm sorry. Scavenger's Reign on Max.
Scavenger's Reign on Max, which I wasn't looking for at all, and I saw it and I was like, oh, what's that? Right? The cover title image looks kind of interesting, but there's not really much going on. There's like a person in kind of futuristic-y clothes, and there's an alien kind of landscape in behind me. You can't really see much. So I checked it out, and like I said, it is beautifully animated. It is this these four people crash land on this planet. The very first scene is somebody else expecting this ship to get there, and they're like, "Oh, they didn't come back." And then the other guy says, "Like, I hope they're already dead." You know.
Fade to black. Roll credits. That's the whole show.
Yeah,
Just the person waiting.
it's like the old Clone Wars show where it's only 5 minutes, except they do the same 5 minutes
Yeah, over and over.
over and over. So then you cut. There's 4 people having crash landed on this alien planet, and the plot is not so much yet. It's mostly just they're trying to survive and they don't know what they're gonna do, and they're trying to get to their ship.
How many episodes in are you?
I am most of 3 episodes in, and I fell asleep during the 3rd episode,
Oh.
but it was really late.
Oh,
Like no. I was super into it, but I was like
logistics.
sick a little bit.
Sorry to
Yeah.
ask logistics questions. How
Yeah.
many episodes so far are
I think there are
out?
4.
And it's
right?
weekly.
I think so.
Do you know how many it's supposed to be?
I do
Or it
not.
just- okay.
There were 3 already when I started it,
Mhm.
and I watched them like in a sitting, but I nodded off at the end. So the not really a commentary on the quality of the show. The real thing that I like about the show is what is happening on this planet that they are going through, and that you see. They're like these little bits of. It's almost like short scenes of a nature documentary of this alien world, right? And they don't frame it like that, but a lot of it is seeing these like processes, like this one creature crawling along, and then like another one eats it, and then something, that kind of thing. And it has a very distinctly Mobius, the artist Mobius feel.
I can see that.
It is.
I was getting a little Miyazaki, but yeah.
It's
There's
not
Mobius, too.
un-Miyazaki, right? Like
Yeah.
there is sort of
The-
the color palette is
Yeah, the
very
art style,
Miyazaki,
the animation style too is very like not blurry, but almost fuzzy. There's a hue to like Miyazaki or Mobius where it
There's
almost
like that
looks
light
soft.
stuff going on.
Like it's a soft, almost kind of animated style.
Yeah.
There's hard
Very
lines
light
and
shades.
it's very soft and kind of like aesthetically pleasing even when horrific shit happens.
Yes, very much so. Like there's this robot who. So one of the pairings is this woman.
Robot, but go on.
What's that?
It's pronounced robot, but go on.
Yeah. But this is how they say it on this alien planet. So I just wanted to.
It makes sense because it's an alien planet, but that's not how our language works. It's a robot.
So this woman, this is like a totally non-sentient robot, and the and so,
Thank you for the respect.
You're welcome.
Carry on.
So
Talk about your robots.
there's this woman there who is one of the people who has crash landed, and she's found some kind of a shelter, but occasionally these gigantic cylindrical three-legged beasts of the field kind of like wander in, and they've got these big tongues. They're very
Band name.
beasts of the field. That'd be great.
Band name.
Do you guys want to stop doing this podcast thing and start a band right now?
Yeah, dude.
There's 5 guitars
I
over
can't
there.
play shit.
And
Let's
I
go.
cannot play guitar either. But
Terry
if I have two of them,
Terry jumped in the chat. Stop puking on the set. I chewed it back. It's fine.
and you see these like bird kind of things that look like they're sort of made of paper, and then they hit this white cylinder and they vanish completely into like their look. Right. So there's all these like alien things going on. This robot looks like something's going on with this robot. There's like bits of something alien in it that is helping its damaged circuits. He insists. And then you cut over to the only 2 humans that are together are they're on this journey. They at one point, right, just to give you an idea of what it is, there's this massive storm that happens, and they're trying to get to these caves that are all these like line work caves, and very cool looking, very stark, and they're not going to get there in time. So they see these great animals in the sea, these like shelled beasts with this flesh tube coming out of the top of it, and these translucent balls are rolling toward it, and they're like, oh, that's the young of this species that they're going to get out of the storm. Let's follow them. And so the tube falls onto the beach, and they go into the tube, and they like ride out the storm in the belly of this sea creature until this insect comes in. This is not much of the episode.
JD in the chat just act out the whole episode.
So then anyway,
I'm riveted. So I'm sorry. If you guys want to stop, we'll stop.
Minute 2 of the episode, it says follows.
That was
After
just
the opening credits.
That was just a detailed supercut of a montage.
That was the
Go on.
trailer.
Yeah.
Shot 4.
So strap
Medium
in,
res.
JD.
Yeah.
Strap in, because here it comes. And
So
one of the main things about this is how visually beautiful and exciting it is. So I think the best way that you guys should experience it is if I just describe it in detail.
Yeah,
knowing that I am not getting it
I
all
want
across.
you only to experience this art through the prism of my scope.
Exactly.
Period.
I'd prefer you not feel differently about it than I do.
So would you recommend it?
Absolutely.
Scavengers Reign.
It is so good.
on Max.
And like I said, like the story is not, maybe it'll get more in depth, right? It's not what I'm entranced by about
the
this.
world building.
It's the world building. It's the ecosystem of this place, and the like similarities that the different animals have, but differences also. And there's a whole other thing going on with another guy that I really recommend this.
Yeah, so I was in the shop the other day looking for something to watch. When I cover the shop, I'll put on something that is family friendly and probably something that I won't want to pay attention to because you're doing everything.
Right.
So it usually always ends up being a really bad comic book movie, or like I'll put on Batman and Robin because why not? Because it also becomes great conversations of like, is this the one with the nipples? I'm like, it sure
Yeah, the
is.
nipples.
And then we talk about it. But my Max app immediately gave me the Scavenger's Reign. So when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, I watched this trailer and it looks really, really cool.
Oh, cool.
I just don't know if I I don't
like,
know. It
when
seems
do
like
we
a
have
heady
this-
space.
So
It's
This
a
is
very,
not a
like-
passive watch.
Yeah.
No, it's a very
Yeah.
like sedate, engrossing.
Yeah.
Like it moves slow. It's just this like
I don't-
panoramic
And,
sort of.
and the thing
thing.
is that now you have to think, all right, when do I have the time to
Yeah.
carve out to really sit?
Mm.
Yeah, and
and
also
being
I
engrossed
feel
in
like
something.
when I was younger, when I was in when I was in college and like in film programs and stuff, like I had not the patience, but like the resolve to experience more of that content, like a Terrence Malick phase where we're just gonna watch the wind go through these weeds for 5 minutes and just contemplate life of these fictional characters. Now I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna put on something stupid and like zone out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I don't find the other artistically endeavorous. It's just because I don't know. I'd like my brain chemistry is different now, where I want quick hits of dopamine as opposed to a contemplative moment to sit in something. You know
I'll
what
tell
I mean?
you what, I do know what you mean,
Yeah.
and I think that this is almost like a series of little vignettes
Yeah.
about like this interaction or like this thing happens, and things do. It has a calm pace, but things do like happen pretty rapidly. You know, like a bunch of stuff happens. It's just like a nature documentary, where it was like that was a momentous event, but you're seeing it in this serene way, kind
Nice.
of. You know,
Cool.
And I wonder if you could experience it that way too. If you're like, I'm going to put it on and not pay much attention.
How
but
long
just
is each
look-
episode?
Like regular, like 22 minutes or something. It's
Cool.
25 minutes. Yeah,
This is like an Adult Swim show or no, it's a Max original.
it's a Max original.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Huh.
I think Max has adult
They
Swim
do,
stuff, right?
but like they will
yeah.
identify or label
As
them
Adult Swim,
differently.
yeah.
It would be on the Adult Swim.
It maybe could have been on there at one time, but I wouldn't say it like is typified by the feel of the old Adult Swim or anything.
Mhm.
But if it had been produced 20 years ago, yeah, that's probably
Word.
maybe where it would have ended up. But yeah, it's
So,
I think you guys would like.
highest recommendation. Brian said it's the best thing he's ever seen.
I did say that.
Yeah,
I might have been wrong.
yeah. It's.
But yeah.
I mean, serene nature, aliens, robots. I feel like it's the whole
there's a lot of
kit
stuff.
and caboodle.
And you know, I love Mobius, the style.
Yeah.
And it's not 100%, but it's like really strongly reminding me
in
of
the
it.
trailer, two things jumped out at me. It was the line work, which is really really detailed, but then also the ship that crashes that they're all in is called the Demeter 232 or something like that. So I immediately thought like, ooh, is this a vampire thing?
Right.
Which I don't think it is. But
I was
still.
thinking because I had not remembered that was the name of the ship that brought Dracula over in the story, but I was thinking of Demeter, the goddess, the like
it's probably
Earth
more
Mother.
accurate.
Could
yeah.
be, yeah,
Yeah.
and classic like, especially 70s style sci-fi.
Yeah.
Naming it something mythical or something like that, and there is that vibe to the show.
Word.
Some of the designs.
Word.
I was
Really
thinking
cool.
of Demeter, a stripper I met in Montreal.
Oh, it might have been. Wait, it
Montreal. Are you sure it wasn't Quebec? Because I also know of a stripper in Quebec. No, I'm just kidding.
named Demeter.
Hey, Demeter. Yeah.
It's
Is there more than one?
we should go next week. Let's go find them. That'll
All
be
of
the
them.
show.
If you
Yeah.
are a sex
Road
worker
trip.
by the
Yeah.
name of Demeter,
Yeah.
please
We would like, especially in
CultPop
Canada,
go.
but not exclusively.
coldpopgo@gmail.com. Reach out.
Yeah.
So I no, what have you been up to this week?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you. I because of all the scheduling craziness and where normally every Wednesday JD and I would record a Fresh Floppies episode where we talk about spoiler-free reviews of the comic books that are out on your stands today. It's like a baby hiatus, but I think we're gonna restructure it and maybe like not rush to put out an episode every Wednesday. So it's a gap week, meaning I want to talk about some comics that are out
Nice.
really quickly. Stuff that that is good, but then also some spoopy stuff because it's the last episode we have until Halloween.
Mm.
Horror comics are awesome. Here's a couple. So the first thing that I want to talk about is not a horror comic, but it's frightfully good. It's Alan Scott, Green Lantern #1, written by Tim Sheridan with art by Cian Tormey. It's an Alan Scott book. It's the most interesting Alan Scott book I've ever read.
Nice.
It takes place in 1936 and 1941, before he was a Green Lantern and during his early tenure as the Green Lantern in the JSA. I will not give away details of the plot other than the art is beautiful. The book is very fascinating, and it's the most interesting story about Alan Scott I've ever read.
Hey.
So it's very good. Very good. Some of the spoopy stuff. Hallows Eve #1, Big Night #1 came out this week. Written by Erica Schultz with art by Michael Dowling. If anyone doesn't know who this is, this new character, is it getting it? This new character, Hallows Eve, she is what's Ben Riley's
Spider-Man
girlfriend. Yes.
Oh,
Ben
she is
Reilly's
Ben Riley's girlfriend.
who was given abilities by Madeline Pryor in Limbo.
Oh,
And the
what an
abilities.
unusual
I know it's
place for her to get abilities. Yes.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Magic.
Is he still? What's he up to? Is he
He's
a good
Chasm
Spider-Man
now.
now? Or is
He doesn't remember who he is and thinks that Spider-Man took his life. So he's pretty mad.
I see.
Has some limbo abilities also now, but he's prisoned there because he tried to take over New York. Whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a small contingent of
Has those
fandom
abilities.
that seem to forget how comic books work, and they're really mad that he's a little bit of a baddie now.
Oh yeah. Well, Marvel
Can-
especially, right? They've not been in that phase for a little while now that I know of, but like the early to mid 2000s into the 2010s was a cycle of like at one of their major characters turning bad for a while, and then it was Scott Summers.
But then it
and then
just
they go
kind
back.
of goes back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like the pattern being we're gonna play around for a while and then it'll be fine.
Yeah. Like
You'd think
comics.
that they'd remember that.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get mad about every change.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the fandom. It's part of the joy. But her ability, which I think is really, really cool, is she's like a trick-or-treater
Oh.
in so much as she has this magic satchel filled with Halloween masks. And when she puts the specific mask on, she has the abilities of that monster or that character. So she'll put on a wolf mask and she's a werewolf. She'll put on a Frankenstein mask. She's got like extra
She's a
strength.
Frankenstein.
It's like a power ring with very specific narrow. It's very funny, but
It's like the Dial H for Hero.
Yes,
except
Dial H
you
for
know
Hero
what
is
you're
perfect.
getting.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's very funny. It's very good. Not along those lines at all is the Ribbon Queen, written by Garth Ennis with art by Jason Burrows. If you like goopy horror with like people being grossly disemboweled like ribbons, there's flesh from their bones and stuff.
Oh.
This is your book.
There is
4
something
issues are out now.
ancient and terrifying loose
There's
in the
that.
world of men.
Woo! That's Garth Ennis doesn't really shy away from anything. And then also the last one I want to talk about, spoopy wise, Dracula came out today, which is written by James Tynion IV
Oh yeah.
with art by Martin Simmons. This is the creative team that is responsible for Department of Truth.
Now, what company put that?
This is Image Comics.
Okay. So it's not Marvel's Dracula.
No, it is not Marvel's Dracula. It's a very good distinction. Marvel's Dracula is currently living in Chernobyl,
Right.
Oh.
in a makeshift vampire city whose sheriff is Blade.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
love Marvel vampire shit. It's actually really fun.
Yeah,
But no,
that's
this
fun.
is a solid issue. It's basically a retelling of the classic Universal Monster movie. It literally has a Universal Monsters emblem on it.
Oh.
So I feel as though we're going to get maybe a rash of these where comic book creative teams are going to approach each of the main monsters. In Universal's.
Maybe trying to figure out how to do a film series again that they tried to do. It
everyone
wouldn't
screws up
surprise
on
me,
it.
right?
It's you know what? It wouldn't surprise me, but this book itself is very much Bela Lugosi-ish. So I'm not exactly sure if they're trying anything new so much as just reintroducing.
Or I mean, like maybe gauging reception.
That's
like
fair too,
the Dracula one was the one that sold the most. We
It's a
should do
solid
that.
book. Dracula's never really been my favorite, so I came into it a little skeptical, but I like this creative team. Martin Simmons has an art style that is not for everyone.
Is it the same as it is in Department of Truth?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's kind of playful and a little jarring.
Yeah,
but
Gritty-ish.
it works here.
Okay.
This is a 4-issue miniseries. If it was an ongoing, I don't think I'd be down.
Mm-hmm.
But a nice quick hit. And then if you're not reading it, Wonder Woman. Number 2 came out this week.
Tom King, right?
Tom King with art by Daniel Sempier. It's awesome. It's straight awesome. I don't even want to spoil the main plot of the book, just that she's not the best friends with the U.S. government right now.
Mm.
and
Yeah,
it's
I remember reading.
so good.
They were gonna
But
play
yeah,
around with
I
that.
would highly. It's only the second issue you could jump on. This is one of those books that like I feel as though it's going to start becoming part of the conversation every month because he's already taken a couple of like big swings. So maybe don't wait for trade. Check it out. But yeah, that's it. That's what I've been up to this week. Lots of comics. Eddie Madison just jumped in the chat. Hello there. Kevin, as Green Lantern writer, is donating his share of the proceeds to the Elton John AIDS Foundation.
very
That's
nice.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't really want to mention it, but Kevin jumped in the chat. We'll do it briefly. There were a couple of Alan Scott, Green Lantern. There were a couple of false rumors about the content of the book that were spread online like a couple weeks ago. That one of the plot points is that Alan Scott has an affair with a J. Edgar Hoover or something like that
Yeah.
because Alan Scott is a gay character.
This is the fake thing.
This is the fake thing.
Yeah.
And because of the fake news, there are some contingents of fandom who started attacking and chiding the writer and creative team of the book. So the writer decided to get on social media and tell everyone about it, read the book, support the book. And if you do, one, you'll be sending a message to people that are bigoted and hateful that you do want this type of book. And two, all of the proceeds of his proceeds, all of his residuals, any extra money that he is going to make from us purchasing the book will be donated to the Elton John AIDS Foundation, which I thought was really cool.
That's cool.
I completely forgot about that. Thank you, Kevin.
Hey, I have a question here. His ring is on his left hand. Is that always the case with Alan Scott?
I honestly don't know.
Me either, and you'd think that I would, but I don't. And I think it might have been, but I don't recall.
There's at least two images of Alan Scott that I'm remembering. One from when his very first appearance, and then a famous Alex Ross reinterpretation of that one. And if I'm looking at it right, I think his ring is on his left hand.
Maybe there's a story reason. I don't remember. All the other Green Lanterns are just like right dominant, though, usually.
Yeah, except Sinestro, because his name means left in Latin, and he's evil.
Didn't know that, but yeah, that's kind of cool.
He wears it on his left hand. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been reading a lot of comics. That's what I've been up to this week, and that's what I'm up to every week. So when we jump back into Fresh Floppies, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, read more comics. But yeah.
Is there any Green Lantern that wears their ring as a belly ring?
Maybe.
There should be, or a toe ring.
There should be.
That would be pretty
Or
cool.
a toe ring.
I don't know. Well, I bet I'm willing to bet there is a toe ring.
Or just
at least
like
before,
an alien with
because of
like
the alien.
Oh, there's definitely tentacle
feet
rings
for
out there.
shit.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an
Feet
alien
for
bird.
shit,
I got
you know,
feet for
like-
shit.
Yeah, like aliens. They got feet on their faces.
So Alan Scott's first appearance, he does not. He has it on his right hand, but then a number of other subsequent appearances, including one where he met Hal Jordan. So it's like, old. He does have it on his left hand.
Oh my God! They changed they changed something about the character.
From
We should
the
all
first
riot.
appearance. I wonder if it was even. Could it just have been that they flipped the drawing?
Maybe,
I don't know.
yeah.
You know.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway, these are all really good books. I would recommend them highly. All flavor of lighthearted to disgusting horror. It's all good. Eddie Madison did jump in the chat saying that Richard Roundtree has passed. Yes.
Yeah.
Shaft is
Yeah.
no longer.
Yeah, Shaft. He passed away age 81 from pancreatic cancer. We did posted a little memorial to him on the Michelle Mission.
Show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big loss.
Where can people listen to the Michelle Mission?
Any place you find podcasts, you can listen to the Me Show Mission. Also on YouTube, you can check us out. We also stream every Tuesday from here from Young Junk.
And how do you spell Michelle?
MICHEAUX MISSION. Me Show Mission.
Cool.
Let's jump into
The main thing.
our main topic this evening.
It's the main event.
Nobody jumped in with me. I'm
Dun,
not
dun,
gonna-
dun, dun, dun.
No,
Was it
it's
that
too
one?
late, man.
Oh.
It's too late.
Yeah, you
I
know-
thought we were doing like a syncopation.
We're doing Rocky, and it's
I
too
don't know
late.
exactly what syncopation is.
So we're gonna talk about all 9 Rocky films. No,
I haven't seen
so
that.
That's on brand.
I was not shown them as a youth, and
Have
Never
you
saw
not
any
seen
of them.
all 9, or you've not seen
Never
any?
seen any.
Any?
Any of them.
Jesus.
Man, the first one is literally. It's
I
like
heard it's really
like a
good.
Scorsese level
this
masterpiece.
Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it
know
won
that
for Best
one.
Picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
That's,
beat. Didn't it beat Star Wars for Best Picture or something like that year?
I don't
Oh, really?
think, I don't think Star Wars was
But it's not
nominated.
sci-fi at all. But no, I never saw them, and I like sports movies sometimes, even though I'm not a big sports fan. So it's not that.
Sometimes. What sports movie do you like?
Rudy was good.
Well, you know what?
Necessary Roughness, but that's a comedy.
Rudy
That's
was good.
Yeah, Rudy was good. I don't know. Name another sports movie. I can't think of any.
Rocky.
Never saw it. I never saw any
Rocky
of them.
2.
Yeah, Rocky 2.
Oh, the Adam Sandler sports mockumentaries are hilarious. But again, comedy. That doesn't. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at
7 Days in Hell.
Rocky Award.
Any Given Sunday?
No, I never saw that one.
Raging Bull?
No.
It
Is that
did.
about a boxer?
Rocky
Yes.
won
No, I never
Academy Award for Best Picture,
saw it. Uh-huh.
film editing.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Best directing.
Did it win writing?
Right?
No, he was nominated.
Nominated, okay.
For a screenplay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
sports
we're
movies,
not going to
I don't
talk. Well, you know, we're going to have a sports movies episode, and I just want to see you and
JD zone
JD
out.
like
know. Like what
have aneurysms.
I mean, I'll talk about stuff. I don't have to have seen it.
I don't have to have seen it.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll have something I can say.
I will be a source of information.
Yeah.
It just won't be
About
from
that.
a place of knowledge about
Right.
this specific topic.
Yeah,
Won't
it could
be
be
correct.
like little quips, or here's a fun fact that the thing you just said
It's gonna be-
reminded
it's
me
gonna
of
be like
about football.
A cacophony of like, you don't say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Huh.
interesting.
And so they scored and then they won.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the most points wins?
Mhm. Not always. Are those points in golf? It's not really points.
No.
You kind of have to want them for them to be points, I think. Oh, unless they're points against you. Fuck. Anyway, what are we talking about? Points? That's the main topic.
So we're gonna have a dissertation about par. Under and over it. Anyway, so the main topic tonight is a Netflix show that dropped called Bodies. This wasn't on any of our radars. However, we found out that it was based on a Vertigo comic book miniseries by Cy Spencer from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I had never heard of not only
Me
this
neither.
book,
Me either.
but I also had never heard of Cy Spencer. I know a Cy Spurrier, but I've
That's
never
who I
heard of
thought
Cy
at first.
Spencer.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, the guy that did. Oh, no, it's different.
So-
guy.
so-
Although we did kind of discuss, he wrote a Constantine thing not that long ago.
Cy Spurrier did.
I think Spencer did also. No?
You go ahead and keep vamping. I'll
Okay.
look it up.
So, well, we had no idea that this existed. I saw Bodies and I was like, oh, it's a,
Oh, you're right.
was it Spencer?
I
But-
mean, I wouldn't go with recent. It was 2010.
Okay, that's not that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that. Cy Spurrier was the one that was like 2019.
The Black Label one that
20,000.
we liked.
Yeah, it was very good.
Great. Anyway,
Vinyl Underground,
I don't
Books of
remember how you
Magic.
felt about
Yeah, he wrote Vinyl Underground, Books of Magic, some of the Vertigo stuff. It seems as though he was very much in the Sandman universe for a long time, like
I'm
during
just-
wartime, just like old school Vertigo.
I'm sitting here just tripping over. Y'all said it was like 2010. Not that.
No, I thought
Not
it
that
was,
recent. It was like
More than a decade.
I know. Jesus.
Oh, it's pretty recent.
Also,
still. You can look at it as both at the same
Look,
time, really.
I should have looked this up,
Either way.
but Cy Spencer is passed. He died in
Just-
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
In fact, I
Anyway.
think the first episode is dedicated
that's
to
right.
him.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense now.
I see. I thought I had read Cy Spurrier's Books of Magic work, which maybe I did, or it could have been his. In which case, it was the first book of Books of Magic that I read, and it was good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, this show came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We thought it
it's-
looked interesting. We were looking for something Halloweenish, and
So here's
Yeah.
the details.
Oh, here we go.
Netflix, 8 episodes, created by Paul Tomlin, starring Jacob Fortune Lloyd, Shira Haas, and Amaka Okafor. The description is one sentence. 4 detectives in 4 different time periods of London find themselves investigating the same murder. So I watched 1 episode. You watched
3 at this
3.
point.
I watched most of the first.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so riveted to the end, or till you turned it off.
Well,
I'm kidding,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
No. I was actually into it. I got pulled away for work. So
Overall, so first of all, the concept is cool as hell.
It is. Yeah.
4 different. So it's 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 4 time periods, 4 different detectives, same freaky body. End of the first episode has a really wild, cool little twist. What did you think?
I was into it. I love like a mystery, like crime show. I appreciated the aesthetic of it because it's a Netflix show, but it very much felt like an Apple TV show.
Yes.
It felt very like high end, production. It's despite it all happening in London over these different time periods, it's a very diverse cast. So I really appreciated that. I thought the world building for each time period was fascinating, interesting, very detailed. Took time. Like none of the detectives are like the other, so they each are distinctive, even in their methodology of investigating this situation, and even in how they come upon the situation. Even though there's only one, there's kind of like one event that happens the same, like a flashbulb. That blows out.
Right.
The pattern,
right?
Yeah.
But it was absolutely like beautiful, meditative. But I was in. I was locked. I can't wait to go home and continue watching it.
Cool.
What about you?
I enjoyed it. I like the story. Speaking of the aesthetics, they don't do a lot of it, but there's a few very comic-y panels in it. Which
Swap the panels,
used very appropriately here because there's one body in 4 different time periods. You see a lot of parallels and parallel actions, right?
They do it, at least in the first episode. They do it. They split the screen into panels, and they usually do it right before they transition to a different time period. So it's almost just like a visual cue of like turning the page.
Yeah, but there's also a visual cue of how the detectives find the body.
Yeah.
And if you really pay attention to it, like that scene is almost like a repeating, almost like a
well, you see the
panel.
4 kind of like it highlights, it tells you that they're in the same place, and you see their reaction, and that kind of thing, and it's very well done, especially in its sparingness. I think that could easily become an overwhelming portion of the show, and it really doesn't. You see a couple of times actual scenes playing out next to each other that are similar, but in a pleasing way. I felt. Now, I want to say I was just sort of distracted while I was watching it. I felt like the first episode is a bit slow. It's a bit. It doesn't really draw you into this very, very interesting plot, Yeah. And it picks up more as it goes on. A little more each episode so far. But it is sort of like, I want to see what's happening. I like this story. I'm not like caught up in it.
Yeah, so that was my big note. Like on paper, everything is great, and I really enjoy the premise. I really enjoy the big question. I enjoy how it's being laid out, but I can't help it. I was bored a lot.
I paused it several times because I wanted to like check my phone or something.
Yeah, the first episode has a lot of like pauses, and the immediacy was lacking, completely lacking, and it made me feel like, as much as I was like, I want to know what's next, but instead of like, I can't wait to go on this journey, it felt like I could just read what happens.
Yeah, like what are they gonna?
Yeah, like
what are they gonna show you what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like the things achieved in episode 1, economically could have been 20 minutes.
I think so too. I think it could have just gotten a lot of that story across.
Yeah.
And then moved on to the events that happened. Now, episodes 2 and 3, I got to tell you, are not like roller coasters either. They're, but so maybe it just would have been more. But it gets more and more interesting. And there's, like the element that's introduced right at the end of this one there's more things come up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder what's going on. So it's a cool mystery. One thing that surprises me is they all are like convinced this body has been shot in the eye, but there's no bullet, right? And I'm like, is there not? Could it not have been something else? Like, I don't know. Or maybe you look at it and you're like, no, that's the deal.
I don't know. Like, also too, I would, if anybody's interested in the show and knows nothing about it, don't watch the trailer.
Oh, I didn't see the trailer. Does it give away?
It seems to give away something like.
Oh, okay.
So there's an aspect of the show that to me seems very obvious,
Mm-hmm.
And the show itself just kind of blatantly says it, but it has not been a part of the setup whatsoever. So I'm like, all right, cool. I guess.
Is it like a historical thing?
No.
Then, okay. Because
No.
I was wondering to me, this element was obvious. They're in Whitechapel.
Oh yeah, there's a
you know,
butcher.
Yeah, and I won't say it because anybody else who also feels it's obvious will know.
That's not even what
by
I'm
saying
talking about.
Whitechapel. It's
Yeah,
not.
no.
Okay, yeah. Now the diversity of the cast I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Not just that they are there, but each one is a group of people or a member of a group of people who would have a particularly hard time in that time period.
Yes.
Right? And so that's a very interesting lens. Now, I was a little disappointed because the Jewish guy, he starts out, he's very charismatic, and he's like, this other anti-Semitic guy is like, hey, money-grubbing guy, Jews, all like that, and you're like, is this charismatic guy, he's gonna come out on top. This guy, he's gonna smooth talk his way and really show this other guy what for. No, he is a money-grubbing guy who is the stereotypes, and you guys haven't met her yet, but the only other Jewish character you meet so far, also very money-driven. And I'm like, I'm not into that. But
God.
we'll see what happens as it progresses. Maybe he turns out to be the awesomest guy or something, But I was like, oh, the other two seem pretty stand-up people. They're,
Shit.
And maybe three. Maybe the person in the future also. She has a disability that is helped a lot by her future technology. But
Yeah, I when you had mentioned that, I was like, well, I haven't seen enough of the future one, so I don't know what.
oh, sorry, yeah, I forget. It's not really anything, but yeah, just kind of thing.
So I would recommend it as a fascinating watch.
Mhm.
After only the first episode, but shows like this, you scare me sometimes.
Hmm?
Like here's an amazing premise.
You get invested in
Oh,
them.
yeah.
And we will never pay it off in any kind of satisfying way.
Oh, like why is there? What's the mystery? So what's the solution? Well, how is there the same body? In each
Yeah,
place?
and oftentimes too, and I'm hoping like since this is based on one book and
Mhm.
blah blah blah, maybe it's really just a mini series and not a season.
It is a mini. It's billed as a miniseries.
So it's
Yeah.
so we're good and done.
I think
Okay,
so.
good. That. See, that makes me want to commit to it more.
Yeah.
When you've got shows, I the one that came to mind was, I don't know if you guys remember it from on ABC like forever ago. Not Lost. It was afterwards. It was like Flash Forward or something.
Yes.
Oh,
Like,
yes, I remember.
everyone
Yes.
saw their future a year from now,
Yeah.
and it was like cool for 2 episodes, and then you were like, this is boring as shit. I don't like any of these people.
Yeah, they weren't
I don't
the
know
greatest. But it was based on
why.
a book, so you were like, oh, it could, this be the whole story. They did a 2-hour return from the winter break, and I just didn't feel like watching 2 hours of
Yeah,
it at
man.
the time, and I never finished it.
Yeah, like every year there's a new show of like, oh, the airplane disappeared for 5 minutes, and where did they go?
Yeah.
Or
That was the thing
or
for a minute.
Yeah.
1,100
Yeah.
people came back.
Yeah.
Like and like it's always a great premise with absolutely no follow through or
Nope.
satisfying
Yeah.
conclusion.
And that's the thing I think that some writers have. I mean, some probably always knew it, but the fault in that really shone through with Lost and to an extent the Battlestar Galactica reboot. Certainly not
Yeah.
as culturally significant, but it was.
No, I actually,
Yeah.
but I'd loved both of those.
Oh, me too.
I would actually fight
Yeah.
for Lost because I feel like they course corrected in the last season by making it more ephemeral.
No, I liked it. I
Yeah.
liked the last season. A lot of people didn't, but there were a lot of mysteries that weren't solved,
Yeah.
and it came out, later that they're like,
yeah.
we had no idea. We were
Yeah,
really
they
good
were
at
making it up as they went
yeah,
on.
yeah, And Battlestar Galactica was in a similar, like the whole thing was like the very beginning, something about the Cylons, and like they have a plan. And not long ago, I was reading, like in 2010, that the
It's like last week.
yeah. So somewhere between those two times, and one of the writers was like, "Oh, we had no idea what their plan was."
You know what? I in hindsight, first of all, I love. If you've never seen Battlestar Galactica,
it's so good.
The revival, it's
Yeah.
top tier television. Like it should be up there with.
Ooh, well, first 2 seasons, I was really thinking strong contender for like best sci-fi show ever. Right when I was watching it,
I mean, it's one of them.
it's one of them for sure.
I was thinking more like cross genre, like formative or transformative television shows. They did something different with the format. You've got like Buffy and Breaking Bad in the same conversation as I think
Battlestar Galactica for sure. Oh,
yeah,
cinematographic.
I'm not saying one is better than the other. Just like in the conversation about shows that fucked with the format in a very awesome way, Battlestar Galactica is one of them. But in hindsight, remembering some of the weird shit that they did in that show, I'm like, I was okay with this. Like the idea that all along the Watchtower is just
that was I was like
in the air and you just feel it sometimes.
I didn't like how they paid that out. Yeah,
and then the way that it all kind of ended too, it was just like, okay.
I've long felt like ever since then, like there are 2 major stories, right? The hard sci-fi story in Battlestar Galactica and the like mystical space sci-fi story, right? And the hard sci-fi story paid off really well.
High concept and low concept?
Ooh, now they're both pretty high concept. Yeah.
Well, no, wait. High fantasy, low fantasy. High sci-fi, low sci-fi. Hard sci-fi,
because
soft
the other
sci-fi.
one's like mystical. Yeah.
Your rules.
I also had a thought about the Star Wars thing we were talking about.
I think it's
right?
I think it's high fantasy.
Here's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because it fits a lot of them. And then I thought, wait a second. High fantasy takes place in another world, right? That isn't our universe, right? Star Wars is in our universe.
Galaxy far, far away.
Exactly. Right? It's a different planet for sure. It's a different world. But high fantasy is in like a completely there is no Mars or Earth anywhere. Whereas the beginning of this, assuming it's addressed to us.
I love these arbitrary rules. I will follow them.
Yeah. I mean, all definitions
arbitrary
get vague at the sides.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Don't look in the right or left. Just
But Battlestar Galactica, I really felt the hard sci-fi story paid off really, really well. And then the mystical side of it, which I loved, I didn't think concluded in a satisfying kind of way.
I loved it for a season, and then I got bored with it. The prophecy and
really
this.
There's some good stuff there.
Such a good show. Let's watch Battlestar Galactica again.
Oh, it was so good. I would watch that again.
Yeah.
The one other thing I want to say about Bonnie's is, especially having watched episodes 2 and 3, they feel like individual comic issues. Like episode 1 definitely seems like that first issue of a comic where you don't get that much of what's going on, and it's kind of like we've all read those. They're not necessarily the best way to start a miniseries, but it happens where like the first one is very little of what's actually going to happen, and then 2's a little bit more and 3's a little, and they kind of the way that they are that I experienced watching them was these are individual stories, individual episode or issues, and I wonder if each one is basically based on an issue.
If that's the case, I would hate it.
Okay.
Only because I firmly believe in like, the function of one piece of media versus another. Like,
well, but they're like chapters of
chapters, yeah. So
chapters of a whole.
But if let's say if I was reading the issues and the end of the 20-page, 10-minute long, 15-minute long issue was the quick reveal at the end of this, that would feel enticing. Whereas if there was 35, 40 extra pages before that, I would lose steam. So like maybe the form over function. I don't know. I think formats matter in how you experience something. And if they do one for one it too much, then it'll lose the kind of momentum that's only possible in comics versus what's best in a show. Or
it's definitely not. You have it all at once. But
I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. No, it depends on how the story is written.
Yes, I don't think it has to be the case, but I also think that they're different formats, and you should approach them as different formats, not necessarily be slave to one in adapting the other.
But are you being a slave, or is that just how you want to tell the story?
I mean, either.
But that's not being a slave. A slave sounds like Like
It cannot deviate.
slavish to the source material.
right, like Scott Snyder. That's what the slavers it sounds like.
What source material?
Well, Watchmen.
Well, Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say like his DC stuff has no source.
It's
No, it's just
300 was
ideas though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 300. Yeah.
300,
I really liked. I loved 300. I really like Watchmen.
I haven't revisited in a long time.
Neither have I. I haven't seen it since it was in the theaters. But at the time, I really liked it.
Yeah, it doesn't wear
hold
well.
up.
I
Yeah.
mean, it wears well as like a big dumb action.
Yeah.
But it's not the like when you watched it, you were probably like me. It's like, oh my god!
Yeah.
And now you're
I
like,
mean, it was beautiful, and it's.
fuck
I
outta
mean,
here.
I love that time period too, and it's like looked very comic-y. It also came in a different time when it's like,
story makes no
oh,
sense.
something that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
All right. So yeah. So anyway, this one is. It's the first episode kind of feels like that first comic, and then I wouldn't say that the next two are like, oh, that was definitely the end of issue 2. It continues, it goes on with the story and all that stuff, but at the same time, I had that kind of feel. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. Should you stick with it?
Will you stick with it?
I will at least finish this episode and get into the second one and we'll see how it happens.
I fear as though I will lose momentum
Hmm.
because I still want to. I'd rather finish Fall of the House of Usher
Mm.
and something else that we're watching.
I would probably watch that too for it, but I talked about, we reviewed it last week. I
Yeah.
talked about it with Tamara. She is interested as well, and she's
Yeah.
away at the moment, so I can't watch it.
We'll have a revisit episode.
I will say,
Usher.
watching it made me think of an older Netflix show, Sense8. I don't know why.
I never watched
Oh, I
that.
never
I heard
saw it.
about it.
The story is nothing like this, except that it kind of like deals with people all having like the
Traversing,
same
right?
sense.
Like, yeah.
But I never finished that show. I watched the first season, so it made me like, if I kind of taper off this, I will probably see if Sense8 still on Netflix. I'll
Flavor
watch
over
it.
there.
Hmm.
All right, so that's Bodies on Netflix, based on a comic by Cy Spencer. All 8 episodes are available now. Give it a shot. It's fascinating. It's got a really, really good premise, and the cast is dope as hell. It's just, for me, it was a little slowly paced, but
Yeah.
Brian says it gets a little bit better, a little bit more engaging.
It may
So-
be all that for you.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
gotten. I looked it up. It's gotten amazing
Great
reviews.
reviews. Great
I
reviews.
could
Everyone
see
is
it
talking
being
about
like-
it being like
Yeah.
it seems as though it's a show that's built for binging, because a lot of people are talking
can
about
see
like
that.
mainlining it.
I
and
do
it was a
want to
great
see what
experience.
happens next when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I even watched, like, it was very late last night, and I just didn't feel like going to bed, but I was like, all right, I'll watch some of it and not finish all of it because it's too long. I shouldn't be up that late. But I was interested enough that I'm like, but I want to check out some, And I could see it being the kind of show where, I don't know if it's 6 or 8 or what episodes, but I could see it being the kind of show where by the time it's at episode, 5 or 6 or whatever, is like, oh, this is great. Like, this is awesome. And it really laid the groundwork in a very slow way, but I'm glad I'm here.
Mhm.
And if you're enjoying the groundwork well enough, then I can see it paying off. We'll see.
Word.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. So I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Len, where can the people find you?
On TV.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
How's that TV show working out for you?
There's nothing but details when you ask us questions. I'll try again. Cut. Take 2.
No, I mean, I told you.
Len.
You can find me on
Yeah,
the Show
Show
Mission. MICHEAUXMISSION. Look us up on all the social medias, on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we go live every Tuesday from Junk.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, where can the people
Hey.
find you?
Coming up soon, November 10th, 7:30 p.m. at Forge Theater in Phoenixville. I and the improv group, which I am part of, Comedy on Demand, COD, we really just call it now, mostly, we'll be
the
doing
fish?
a show. What's that?
Like the fish? Cod?
There's periods after, I think, in the logo.
There's periods after the fish.
That's true. I'm gonna have to talk to the people about that.
Yeah, let's not
Fish
fact
people.
check that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
COD stands for something. It's a whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah.
No, so Comedy on Demand, 7:30 November 10th is a Friday. I would love it if you guys came, and also if anybody wants to, fly in, that would be great. Yeah.
You must support your own airfare and lodging. But
Yeah, well, you don't know. You don't
we will
have to.
high-five
I'm
you.
not going to. Nobody in the group is going
If
to.
you have a
But-
benefactor,
yeah.
you can utilize them in order to
I'm
go
not
to this improv show.
picky. I'm
Yeah,
not going to
no.
tell you.
Attendance is
Yeah.
all that's requested.
Exactly.
How and why and where you.
You could take a land craft,
A land craft.
maybe.
Like
Of 10 or more wheels. I don't know.
yeah, your favorite land craft.
Your favorite land craft,
from-
yeah.
Jet boat to.
If somebody pulled up in a DeLorean or like the Batmobile or something, that'd
I
be
was
pretty
thinking
cool.
like an airboat or something.
An airboat would be amazing.
Or a
Hovercraft,
hovercraft.
yeah, would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I was picturing like 10 wheels, 5 on each side, maybe 10 on each side. One of those. Well, you've seen them. Everybody's seen one of those.
Yeah, it's 5 on each side.
Yeah.
Wait, like
Sometimes.
like a big rollerblade.
No. It's like a truck kind of thing with a. I don't know if they exist in reality.
A semi truck.
This is the
A semi-truck?
longest sign off in the
Anyway,
world.
you can find me here every Wednesday night at this show, but we also do Fresh Floppies, which is in the same podcast feed where we do spoiler-free reviews of comic books that are on the shelves right now, or on social media at Mr. Bartocci, MrBartocci, or CultPop Go.
Go, Bob, go.
So we'll talk at you then. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. JD, we love you. We'll talk to you later. Everyone, find your favorite chicken pot pie and experience it tonight.
Tonight.
Well, tonight or tomorrow. You don't know
As
when
soon
they're
as
watching
possible.
this. Live viewers tomorrow or respectfully. Bye.